I got home in September of '67 and then went back to work part-time for the Pasadena Water Department. And knowing you're leaving one part of your life that you've spent, most of us, 13 months, and getting back to the life you knew when you grew up. A lot of people, strange things, when you're going to live in a different culture in a different country, you expect your culture shock to be when you go to that country. But you get so acclimated in whatever that is, like in Da Nang in Vietnam and doing what we're there, the greater culture shock is when you come home. That's what you don't prepare yourself for, because you really think you remember the way life was. But you're not the same, and you don't view it the same. And you got to watch saying the same words in your family around the table versus what you say in a mess hall. I can't say I was welcomed. I can say I was sworn at, cussed at, spat upon, because people so hated the war. I did not feel like a popular American. On Good Friday the following spring, the church I grew up in, All Saints Episcopal in Pasadena, they had Good Friday service. So I took a break from work, walked across the street to celebrate Good Friday. And our minister at that time, who was very much anti-war, in his sermon was asking all of us to donate our blood to North Vietnam. And I felt I'd heard and seen enough of that impacting people that I said, this isn't where I want to stay, and I got up and left. It's not like it is today when most Americans, when they see troops in an airport, many of us will go over and make out of our way to say thank you for your service. It wasn't that way in the 60s at all. And while we were doing what we'd been asked to do by our government, it wasn't appreciated by the American people, or by very few. I had a tie that my wife had given me quite a few years ago. It was black, it had like regimental stripes, but one of the stripes was the Vietnam Campaign Medal, the other was the Vietnamese Service Medal. And it alternated those stripes. So anytime I went to Washington and called on the halls of Congress, I would always wear that tie because I was very proud of my service on behalf of my country. I wore that tie one time when I was at one of my professional associations, and there was a conference in Washington, D.C., and there was a reception one evening. And there were probably 30 to 50 people in the room, and there was only one person that recognized the significance of what that tie stood for. And he recognized it, and he said, "Welcome home." This was 40 years after I'd come back from Vietnam, and it was the first time that anybody had said, "Welcome home." I so appreciated that when that gentleman retired last year from he was the executive director of our organization, I gave him my tie. Aside from serving my country, I'd say that period was one of the most valuable learning experiences for me as an individual. It helped me to grow up, to the extent that I've grown up so far. Fortunately, one of the projects I was involved with while I was there was working on the design of a aerated lagoon system, a wastewater treatment plant for Camp Tien Sa. And I'd always felt I wanted to be a civil engineer working in water and environment. And so I still do the same thing today. I do water and wastewater, and I do it. It's made me more comfortable in my career with traveling internationally, working internationally, going into third world countries and helping improve their quality of life. If there's nothing else I have to look back on my career, it's the feeling that I've been able to help contribute to improving the quality of life for literally hundreds of millions of people on this planet. And a lot of that is in third world developing countries, a lot in Asia. And Vietnam was kind of the beginning of that. little harder for me to get my wife to want to go to third world countries. But I know there is a cruise in Southeast Asia that I've seen, and sometime I want to do that, as long as it's one of its ports of call is Da Nang, so that I can walk around and see if I can remember 56 Dak Lop, 7 Yen Bai, 151 Dak Lop, where the USO was, the White Elephant, my haunts. Or go up to Camp Tin Sha, go to the China Beach. See what's it like today, 40 years later, 45 years later.